So here are a few of the questions that are typical of questions on IXL X.1. Oops, sorry about that. All right, so this is the first one that I saw whenever I logged in. This is just a coordinate plane here, and we have some points. We have point S, Q, P up here, and then R down here. In this situation, we only care about point S. Now, we use several things, or a couple of things, to understand where points are and to identify where they are on a coordinate plane. First thing we need to know is where our axes are, because that's really important. The x-axis is right here. Put a box around it. So there's the x. So that means that's this one here. I'm going to trace it in blue. I'll erase it so you can see it better in a second. But that's the x-axis right there. So the x-axis goes from side to side. It's horizontal. So any movement that's side to side is movement along the x-axis. The y is here, and that's the one that goes up and down, vertical. So the y-axis is any movement we do along the y-axis is done up or down. So from that, we could look at what our coordinates are. In this case, we need the coordinates of point S. The way that we write coordinates, just to keep it consistent and keep it the same way all the time, is we always put our x coordinate first, and then we follow it with our y. So for example, let me say that I wanted to do, let's say I had a point right here. Do it all positive first. Well, on the x, right to left, I have to move 2 to the right. So the x coordinate of that red point would be 2. And then on the y, I have to move up 3 up. So the y coordinate would be 3. So that point would be located at 2, 3. Now we have to find point S. So let's look at that. I started with one that I made up because the one I made up used all positive numbers. One thing we do need to understand is you can see it here. If going up on the y, they're all positives. But once you get to 0 and you start going down, notice there's a little negative symbol. So that's where we start going the negative direction. The x is the same way. Like if we go to the right, you notice that they're all positives. But then when we go to the left of 0, you're dealing with negative numbers. So if I'm doing point S, I didn't mean to start with this one. Hey, let me go back. We don't want to start with, well, you know what? We'll just do it while it's here. This is not the first question. I apologize. This is like on the 5th or 6th question. But we can do this. This is not that bad. So for the coordinates of point S, what I notice is I go to the right 5. So the x value is 5, and since it's to the right, it's positive 5. Anything to the right is a positive number. And then I notice I go down 1. So the change along the y-axis is 1. But since I'm going down, I notice that it is a negative 1. So the coordinates of S are 5, negative 1. So just move that just a little so I can go back. All right, I just started on the wrong page of what I had here. So this is typical of like your first question. It's a little easier than the one we just did. But basically, you're doing the same thing. You're just only finding the y coordinate. Let's go ahead and just do both, and then we'll just list the y. So what I'm going to do is put parentheses. You always put parentheses around order pairs. And I always start at 0. I'm going to start right here. Undo it because you don't actually put a mark there. And I notice to get to point S, I need to go 4 to the left. That means the x value is negative 4. And then I go up 4 as well, up 4. So the y coordinate is 4. This just asks for the y coordinate, so the answer would be 4. This one just asks for the x coordinate. So I'm going to go ahead and find both, but we'll just answer with the x. So to get to point W, that's this point here, I notice, well, first of all, I'll start at 0. And I notice I go 1 to the left along the x-axis. So the x value is negative 1. I moved 1 space, and since it was to the left, it's negative. Then this is right on the x-axis. I didn't go up any or down any. It's right here on the line. So for my y coordinate, I'm actually just going to put 0. I didn't move at all. Now this question only asks for the x coordinate, so the answer would just be -1.